Hi, this is a lesson on the literature component for the Form 5 and it is on the novel Dear Mr Kilmer. The focus for the lesson today is the characters in the novel. First, let's look at Richard Knight. He is the main character in this novel, Dear Mr Kilmer. Richard Knight is 15 years old and he lived in Iowa. He was in the 10th grade. His physical description: he was tall, slender, and pale. He looked like his mother. Now let's look at the characteristics. Richard is loving, kind, and caring. Evidence: number 1, he thought that animals should not be hunted down unnecessarily. He cried when his grandpa killed a deer when he was 8 years old. Number 2, when he noticed Hannah was crying after school, he asked her what had happened as someone had scrawled the words "Dirty Han" on her book cover. Number 3, Richard spoke up for some students who did not want to sign the card for Hannah. He told Mrs. Hanson that they wanted to sign but were afraid. Number 4, Richard kept hoping that the war would end before Mr. Kilmer went to Europe. He was also worried that Gus might be killed in the war if he went after graduation. Richard is also observant or perceptive. Evidence: number 1, Richard realized that Angie sacrificed a lot for his family. She took care of them after their mother died when he was 7. Number 2, Richard observed his father having a sad, haunted look whenever he gazed upon the prairie. He wondered what the father thought about. Next characteristic: Richard is also hardworking, diligent, or helpful. Evidence: 1, Richard did twice the amount of work on the farm than Gus did. 2, Richard helped his sister in the kitchen after supper. 3, in school, Richard worked hard and got excellent grades in studies. 4, when Richard got home from school, he did his chores, gathered the eggs, and pitched hay to the horses. 5, during summer, Richard spent his days on the farm plowing, planting, and cultivating. He also took care of animals. He loved working with his father. Richard is also strong, brave, and courageous. Evidence: 1, Abner and Harry warned Richard against signing the card for Hannah, but he bravely signed his name on it. 2, after class, Richard asked for the card from Mrs. Hanson so he could deliver it himself even though there was only one signature. 3, after school, Abner and Harry taunted him and started beating him, but he kicked Harry in the stomach and straddled across Abner. 4, after getting encouragement from Mr. Kilmer, Richard overcame his fear and informed his family of his love for writing poems. 5, after much encouragement from Mrs. Hanson, Richard read one of his poems in class and shared with them what Mr. Kilmer wrote. Next, Richard is also obedient or a filial son. Evidence: 1, Richard did not want to lie to his father regarding why he missed a shot, so he told his father the truth. 2, Richard felt guilty for disappointing his pa for not being able to shoot the deer. Next, Richard is also creative, talented, or intelligent. Evidence: 1, he wrote poems to express his feeling, but he locked them in his drawer to prevent anyone from knowing. 2, Richard came up with the idea of exchanging letters with the soldiers overseas so they would not feel lonely or homesick. Next, Richard is also thoughtful. Evidence: number 1, as Richard walked home from school, he talked about picking some flowers for his sister to put on the table. 2, before Richard handed the card to Hannah, he wrote a kind message in it for Hannah and her parents. He apologized for what had happened and told them many people respected them and they were fine citizens. Richard is also sociable. Evidence: the first one is Richard had a famous poet, Joyce Kilmer, as a pen pal. Number 2, he exchanged a few letters with Mr. Kilmer when he was preparing for the war. Next, Richard is also hesitant or fearful. This is the opposite of the positive characteristics. Evidence number 1. Richard voiced his fear of telling people his love for poetry to Mr. Kilmer in his letter. He feared it would become worse for him. 2. Richard asked Mr. Kilmer for opinion on what to do regarding his poems. He wondered if he should tell others about it or hide it from them. 3. He was nervous when he stood in front of his classmates to read his poems. His hand was shaking and his voice quivered. The second character in the novel Dear Mr Kilmer is Hannah Schermer. Hannah is 50 years old and she lived in Iowa. She was in the 10th grade. Physical description: she is pretty, she's blue-eyed, and she has blonde hair like corn silk. Now let's look at the characteristics for Hannah. She is thankful or grateful. Evidence: after being unkind to Richard when Richard gave her the card, she apologized to him and praised him for being brave and kind. 2. She was thankful there were neighbors who helped to paint over the awful words on the wall of the tavern. They promised to prevent it from happening again. Hannah is also hopeful. Evidence: she wanted the war to end immediately as her brother Otto had joined the American Expeditionary Forces, American soldiers who went to Europe for war. She was worried about her brother Otto. She believed that people could live peacefully without wars if everyone could learn to wish peace in their own hearts, so fewer people would die in vain. Hannah is also patriotic. Evidence: she did not stop her brother from joining the American Expeditionary Forces, as her brother was patriotic and he claimed it was the right thing to do. Next, Hannah is also intelligent. Evidence: number 1. She made a sensible suggestion to Richard on how to change the last line of his second poem he planned to send to Mr. Kilmer. Number 2. Through her essay, Hannah voiced her opinion regarding the war. She said peace must be made right in America. People must learn how to care for one another despite the differences. Thank you for watching this video on the literature component, which is a novel Dear Mr. Kilmer. Just now we did a lesson on 2 characters, Richard Knight and Hannah Schermer. Thank you, and then remember to subscribe to my channel Educator OmniTube. I'm Teacher Gan, signing off. Bye bye.